Okay. Hi all. Welcome to another session of system design. Today we are going to run through Microsoft Teams architecture, and which talks about behind the scene how they're managing 75 million daily active users, and we are going through one article, uh, and we are to talk about that. And I think anybody can jump into the discussion, share their thoughts, and we can go through. But I think this blog is quite organized in terms of requirements and how other perspectives of the system. So let's go through that, and then we can even keep on chatting along that. Okay, so let's get started. So I think almost all of us would be familiar with Microsoft Teams. Even we haven't used, but we might have we have heard about that from a friend, or and it's a really popular tool these days because of this all working remote and doing things remote. And I think the best close example I can give is Zoom, or I think I can give example like it's like a combination of Zoom plus Slack. It gives you the capability of doing texting, chatting, group chats, and the same time it also gives the capability of doing a video call and other thing. And I don't think so I have seen any other tool which gives both the capabilities of maintaining chat messages and as well as the video calls.
And
So
uh, Asim, in addition to that, you can set up meetings with it. You can do
mhm.
live streams as well, like to the whole company.
Okay. Okay, so yeah, that is interesting then. Like it gives like more capabilities. Let me also annotate that. So what you have mentioned, meetings.
Yeah, you can set up meetings with the teams. I mean, the way Outlook meetings we set. So
Because it is actually integrated with Outlook.
yeah, and it is not only like it doesn't need a WebEx or some other tool to do a meeting. It has its own meeting, separate meetings in it. I mean, and it syncs with the calendar as well. And the
Mm-hmm.
second thing was you can do a live video stream to all the company. Like,
Okay, live video streaming.
yes.
And on top of that, we also have this text uh, uh, one to one, and then we have this channels, and then we have a video audio capability, right?
Yeah, I think sharing documents is also there.
Oh yeah, even sharing documents. So considering this, I don't think so any other tool in the market is doing this. Do you think any
I,
other tool which has all these features? I
I
know
think,
like
yeah,
tools like Slack or Zoom have subset of these features, but this itself is like a full-fledged package.
yeah.
So
So I think there is Slack also has it, but I mean, we may not want to go into that discussion because there
Okay.
might be other things.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Asim, there are like few more features this Teams has. So my daughter uses Teams for her school.
Mhm.
So you can basically set the assignments and submit the assignments too. So there is that interface too on Teams.
No, is it team feature or it's like a application built on top of like somebody
I
wrote
think
that?
it's a Teams. Maybe you have to just enable it because it's embedded in Teams.
Okay,
So I
because
think Teams enable that for maybe for schools. So I don't know if you're buying that at an enterprise level, then they may enable it. So it gives you an ability to give a task to someone, and then that person can submit that task. So it's that type of tracking. And then there is a due date too, like by when you need that assignment.
Okay. Because I know we can build workflow or applications. Every
Yeah.
generic tool gives. So
So I heard
And
we can build many third-party APIs on top of whatever the teams provide. So maybe, yeah, that's what I think Asim is mentioning as well.
And one more thing we found out, like if when the Teams meeting is going on inside the Teams, it provides a live captioning service as well. So as the person is talking, it captions it.
you mean, okay, you mean like generating the sub subtitles? You
Yeah,
mean?
live.
Okay. Okay. I think then everybody could have visualized like till now like what the team could do. So if anybody has any other question, please let me know. Otherwise, we'll then start with the
Yeah, there are a
intro.
couple of more features like, you can cover your background, which will only cover your
Oh,
body, and then you can
like blur thing or
blur or put a background as well.
yeah, background.
Is it together mode where you can hundreds of people you can see like you are presenter and then they are sitting in a room or so on their chairs. I mean like a classroom or so.
Mhm. Any any feature which
I think that there is a recording feature as well when in the audio or video call, wherein the recording goes to Microsoft Stream. So when the call is done, after that, it gets saved into Microsoft Stream by default.
okay? Anything else? I saw somebody was telling. Okay. Any feature which you think is not there in Teams?
Telephony is not there. You cannot have a assigned phone number to you.
Now
Okay.
you can have actually not directly via Teams, but I think this feature is there already. You can make call directly call and it shows one phone number.
Okay.
Yeah, we can call, but I was talking about having a dedicated number. Like you can even call from a cell phone.
I think you're mentioning like Skype, the another product from Microsoft. Like Skype was having that or is having that, where you have a
They,
dedicated number and you
they,
call that number, it will come to your directly to your Skype thing.
Yeah, something. Yeah.
There is that's
No,
called
Skype has phone numbers.
PSTN. Yeah, it's called
Teams also has
PSTN
phone numbers.
integration. Yeah.
there is also team app for the mobile app,
Mm-hmm.
team mobile app.
Okay, I think we covered a decent amount of features. So by this time, everybody should be having a good idea that what Teams could do. Even I didn't know a few things like live subtitles and other things which I didn't know that is possible. So good to know all these features. So with this, let's move on. Uh, uh, let's go a little further. So the estimate is like by April 2020, we were having like 75 million daily active users. And the analogy the author has presented that there's a state in India, Tamil Nadu, which has like close to 77 million population. So uh, it's as good as like a state of the population is using this, like that much high number we have. And the uh, other thing the author is talking about that it's his thought is on the perspective of system design, and And we can even mention, like, skip to the second part of the article if you directly want to the architecture details. But let's see what the author is talking about in terms of system design perspective. And so first thing is, how is the message is delivered? Does uh, does it have a reply chain? So I think this is more like, if I am going to build teams, what things I would be considering. So it should have messages delivered. It could have uh, it could have chain messages, UI framework, and what important Azure cloud services. And then the author is mentioning about Office 365 also.
Yeah,
And
I think that's for different other features we talked about, right? Like sharing and all that stuff. So,
yes,
yeah.
even if you want to edit a document, then it should have some plugin or some support of Office 365. Like on, I think we can view online there and edit it, and it will get saved.
Mm,
And let's see further. What are the different REST APIs? Java backend, C Sharp, Node, and performance matters, and uh,
yeah, I think this might be for building the applications on top of it, or for no. I think this is just for the other integrations.
yes.
Yeah, not for the applications built on plugins built on top of it. Yeah.
Okay, so I think here it's I think here it actually starts with the requirements.
Yeah, I think he scoped down to some specific things. Yeah.
So okay, I think this is every time, like when we do a start a system design, who are the users of this product? Who is my customer? So, so what do you think, if you are building teams like this, who would be your customer? It's like for enterprise usage, or if it is an enterprise user, then it should be for employees of that organization and administrator. And if, or it should be a personal usage. I think we can even use these softwares, like even Zoom we can use for our personal use, and even it gives like an enterprise where you can bill it and use it. So I think that's a fair ask, like who is going to use it. And if I'm building such product, I would target both enterprise as well as single users or personal usage.
Mm. Even in the case of personal usage, there should be an administrator. It's just that it's at the
Mhm.
yeah.
So I think in that case, anybody who started a personal usage would automatically become an administrator, and then add his or her friends or team members or family members. So going to functional requirements, the user can able to send a message to another user. I think that is like a very basic of this. User should able to interact with other users with the context of team. I think this is most like having having a channel. How we create, user should be able to search, user should be able to upload and download preview images, and user should be able to initiate a meeting. I think when this part is where we can do audio video call. And while considering the non-functional requirements, uh, it should be scalable to accommodate organization. Yes.
Yeah. Probably in the scalability, he should have talked about like how many users and how many pairs and all that stuff. Right?
Agree.
Yeah.
So
It doesn't sound like very.
that is like really very high level. Oh, it should be scalable, but we are not talking about numbers here.
Yeah, yeah.
So what do you think? Like, if let's say if this is a real interview and somebody asks like, okay, scale, what questions we should ask?
I would at least put the number of users here because we haven't decided on like, um yeah, I would at least put the number of users that we want to support or number
So,
of meetings that we want to support.
so I think
75 million
somewhere in the top of the blog it was mentioned like we are assuming there are 75 million daily active users.
active users,
So that means like
but
uh,
we also want like the total number of users that we want to support. So we had to decide on the database and all. If it is 75 million is active users,
oh, then how many would be like total users, you mean?
yeah,
So can with this number can we take
yeah. What would be general
like can
formula for that? Maybe I would make it double.
double, yeah, or make it just like 200 million users are there. We can even make 300 or 500.
Mhm. I don't know if anybody knows like that kind of a calculation, right? I mean, in general, people would have like whoever is building this, they would have that estimate, this number, right? Active users to the total users. Maybe it will differ from product to product, but it's just curious if anybody had that experience in that on that
Mhm.
estimate. I mean, like we could take 200. I'm just saying, but that would be like very random, right? Taking 200 is random, or like you had some idea on like how you took it.
What is mu here? 200 mu.
Sorry?
I just noticed you wrote 200 mu. Maybe I missed million users.
Yeah, I meant like a million users. Total, it's 200 million users.
For the
Like,
month.
no, it's total. So, if I
Oh,
query my system and say like how many users I have, it will say like I have 200 million users.
yeah.
And
But
then we have
small
to
input.
also think about the growth every year. So this 200 next year could become 250 or 300.
Right. I see with respect to the servers where somebody is talking about, the biggest thing is not in a daily how, like the most important is how many we have concurrent. And that is what defines scale importantly for us. So if you have concurrent 75 million, that is way different than total 75 in a day. And 75 million concurrent is too much, though.
So when you say 75, like concurrent, like every second or a minute, like what is the granular level you are taking?
Yeah, like second or a minute, or maybe during a duration of 1 hour. So
Okay,
at 1 hour, what is our peak? That is what our server need to support
okay,
so that it
fair.
doesn't crash that day.
So fair ask. So I think
I mean, like maybe we can say like at any moment how many active users will be does the server
yeah.
has to support.
So one
So
question there, what is the definition we are considering for active? Is it like, okay, logged in, not doing anything? If I have it minimized, right? I'm not doing anything, but versus I'm actually, chatting with
There
someone.
is no, I mean, there is no hard and fast rule here how how a company or how a how you can identify the active million users. Maybe somebody, like you said, somebody just logged in. It's an activity.
Yeah,
Somebody just sent one message. That's it,
sure. Okay.
right? So I believe active user means you just did one activity. I mean, it all depends. Sometimes companies provide what an activity means. Sometimes they don't provide what an activity
so
means.
if I'm idle, not doing, can I consider that person is not active? I'm not
Yeah,
giving
not
any
not active.
resources or bandwidth to that person.
Yeah, it's not active and it's not consuming any cloud resource. And I believe, a user, when we're talking about 200 million or 500 million, probably that's my understanding. It's not that much interesting. As much interesting is how many continuous users you can support. Like 75 million active users, it means you are getting that many transactions at least. And another thing is how many in parallel the system can support. They are communicating or they are chatting, what kind of service they are using. Like, if you say chat, right, how many chat that comes in at the same time you can support. That's actually scale.
Mhm.
Okay.
maybe I
So,
think here we should scope it down to what we want to target, right? Like
Yeah,
maybe
I think that's a good idea. So maybe what if we take like maybe an 80-20 rule and then scope it down and then go ahead from there.
so I generally what I do, if I have to do, so if somebody says 75 million daily active users, and I think last time we told like, okay, in a day, how many seconds are there? So for simplicity, I'll say there are like 10,000 seconds. I think generally it is like 8, 9 something, and then just divide it. Or even for simplicity, I will take like 100 million daily active users and then just divide by 10 raised to the power 3. And whatever number I'll get, I'll say this is per second I am considering. Do you think that's a fair thing to do?
Well, my opinion is 70. Maybe we should not drill down too much into million active users, because like we just said, right, it could be just one text. Maybe the first thing here is like, how many in parallel you can support, how many people within a minute or within a second can make a request, and
Yeah.
your system is supposed to handle that.
So that's what I'm pushing down to a per second level. So if there are daily, we have like this hundred, and I think million is 10, 106, right? And then every day we have these many seconds. So if I remove this, it will give me this number. Like I have, uh, if I just remove this from this, it will become this much per second I am supporting. So that means this many transactions I will get every second.
But that is the average, right? So, but we need to
Average.
get the
I'm going with
maximum.
averages.
But when designing it, we need to go with the maximum, right? We should support that maximum value. At some point, we might have 50 million during daytime. Nighttime, we might just have 10 million, right? So we need to consider that as well.
Yeah, this is average, and then I can again make it like 2 times or 3 times. But I feel like if I would be doing, I would not spend that much. I would say, okay, this is the average, and I would consider making like 3 times or 4 times. But nobody would have an actual peak number.
I think for the sake of discussion, maybe we can put some number.
Okay, so I would go with this number.
Mhm.
I don't know how much this will become.
What is that, Asim? You said 100 to the power of 3,
Yeah, per second.
and you made it little complex. 10 to the power of 3.
Yeah, how I came up with this 100 million daily active users, even in a real interview, if I have to do, I'll take numbers which could be easily visualized.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So 100 million daily active users, and every day we have something like some seconds, 8, 9, 9 something. I've just made 10 raised to the power 3,
Okay. Okay. Yeah, makes
and
sense.
then just divide them and go like this much is
Mhm.
I have. So just for my simplicity, doing the calculations really fast.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so I'm targeting this number for my.
I think someone mentioned in the chat like it's called CCU, concurrent users.
Okay, CCU, nice, good term.
A good rule of thumb is 3 to 5% of DAU or CCU.
3 to 5% of
DAU is
what?
CCU,
What is BAU?
daily active users.
Oh, DAU. Sorry. Okay, 3 to 5%. So whatever is the also, if it is like 100 billion daily active users, are we saying like 3 to 5% concurrent users will
So
be
if you
there?
say 5%, so 4 millions are using concurrently. So
Okay.
at any given point in time, you're getting 4 million requests.
Okay.
Mhm. Because, and that's a good terminology, I think, like CCU, DAU. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay. So then we'll go with this then. 4 million CCUs. Okay, sounds. Okay, somebody also corrected me on the second part, so thank you for that. And okay, but I won't spend much time. I think this rule is also good. Just take 3 to 5% of the AUs, and which would either become like 4 million or 5 million.
Mhm.
Okay, shall we proceed further?
Yep. So just to answer the scalability question, right? Like, okay. No, that's good.
Yeah,
Good question. Yep. Yep.
thank you. Okay, I'll just. Okay, let's go further then. Um, okay, downtimes. Why we have to consider downtimes right now? But let's see if the user is
Oh.
checking.
Mhm.
Backend is down, probably is resilient enough. What if a live meeting?
I think that's an interesting thing, right? I mean, like this also defines SLA or how do we handle like failures.
Okay, so but do we need to talk about that uh, while discussing some non-functional requirements, or
I don't know the term. A downtime term might be little. I mean, like I don't. It's not confusing, but um, we have to consider those things, right? As a
okay, so
non-functional requirement in a big enterprise product, you have to define those SLAs on like uh, what are the downtimes and how would you handle the downtimes. Um, yeah,
okay,
yeah.
Yeah, I wonder
In
why the
general,
downtime is
mm,
the downtime should not be there at all. I mean, should not be a scenario because if one data center is down, some other should be able to. People should be able to read everything. There shouldn't be a downtime.
no, but I think the question is like if I have to define some SLAs
SLA
or
is fine. I mean, it should be highly available all the time. But
okay,
I'm just trying to understand why there is even a topic that is downtime. Downtime probably is something when the whole service is down. It's a planned downtime or unplanned, but it's a failure actually if you say unplanned downtime also.
yeah, I
Yeah.
don't think there is. I mean, like if it is like an online service, I don't think there will be a planned downtime for sure. Yeah, yeah, you're right. Maybe here, what is user?
I think the author here is trying to talk about maybe a BCDR like strategy when the system goes down.
Mm-hmm.
like a data recovery.
Recovery. Yep.
Yeah, probably.
Business continuity data recovery. Yeah.
That's a disaster recovery actually.
Okay,
I
disaster.
think, I think he's talking about this because it has a client-side application, right? So if let's say some backend is down, some API is down, which let's say is handling the chats, right? We chats are also saved. So maybe we can cache something on the client side for some time frame, and then send it to the service later on. Something on those lines, I believe.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good thing. I think, are we like only looking at the back end part of it or the front end? I believe it's only back end.
Yeah, because front end is running on client side, so
Yeah, yeah.
unless user has some issues, it will not have failure.
Mm-hmm.
Unless the laptop goes down or application crashes or etc.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But I think uh, good point to think through what things could be. I remember I was using Microsoft Teams a couple of days ago, and while I was doing, suddenly the call started going on hold automatically. So that was not a good use, like a customer experience for me. And yes, if it is happening consistently, a customer would feel like, oh, moving to some other tool.
But will you consider that as a downtime? It is
Yeah.
probably the CCUs have increased beyond the capacity that the system is supporting at this moment.
Yeah, yeah, or it could be like a backend is down or something gone wrong, some component gone wrong, and because of that, there's a ripple effect.
Yeah.
So
So yeah, this is something, downtime we are considering as if that it could happen, or we are discussing as a part of system design. I mean, I'm just trying to understand how author is written this particular property. It is something that as a consumer, as a customer, I think there could be the situation where it could fail, or as a developer when I'm designing this, that I should consider this downtime.
So
I believe this is
I
as a developer, right? Developer on rather than the downtime, I believe he's trying to handle the failures like the BCDR, SLAs.
It's like,
How
yeah,
to,
during DR events, what if say data center is down? If your database is down, what do you do quickly? Maybe you connect to other database and resume the service. Maybe he's talking in that
I
terms.
I think there are two things. One is front end, one is back end, right? So,
Mhm.
back end could be down, or there could be a problem on the user side. The application crashes. So the user behavior should not be like I sent a message to somebody, right? And it hasn't reached to that user yet, and my application crashes. I still should not lose that message, right? That should be the ideal behavior. So when I restart my application, that message should be sent at that time.
Yeah,
So I
that's
think he's
correct.
talking about both the
Yeah.
things, both from the front end and the back end side as well. So when the application is coming back, then uh, I should also have an API call which is supposed to save that message in some persistent storage or on the client side, whatever it is, right?
Yeah, the way teams work in the same example that you just shared, the way teams work, let's say connectivity goes down. Maybe the your internet connectivity goes down when you're trying to send a message. Maybe it's a issue in the server also, or the consumer. Maybe so. The way it works is it will mark that message as a failed. It will not retry on its own, and it will give an option. It will persist that message on the customer side itself, on that particular storage where the client is, and then once it exhausted retries, it is up to the consumer to hit the retry button to send it again. It will show a sign that it has not been sent and it failed to send, that kind of behavior. And that is not actually a downtime.
Mm.
Maybe I'm too focused on the wording itself. It's probably the author
Yeah.
want to say that this is an SLA. What if what will you do in these failures?
So I think if I read these two things, he's mentioning like if some component goes wrong, how MS team should be resilient enough,
Yeah.
or it
Yeah.
should be resilient enough. So we don't know right now, but I think the requirement is resiliency.
Yeah. Probably I would put the header. I mean, like the heading as resiliency. I wouldn't agree on the downtime.
Yeah,
I mean, like we don't have to take author's wording on it. I will.
yeah.
It's a
I think,
non-functional requirement in which we have to consider all these failures. So could be
but
any heading. Yeah. Yeah.
so I think author is mentioning like if something goes wrong, how we will do be resilient and what
Yeah.
things we would be doing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, let's move further, and then uh, next thing author is talking about upgrading without affecting thing. This is, I think, like we should consider that or no, I don't know. But yeah, if we are doing upgrade, then it should not. Does the author mean like a backward compatible? Might be. Uh,
Oh, yeah. I think an upgrade, all these things come, right? I believe he's only talking about without impacting, I think this um, making an update without impacting the current users.
mhm.
That's what he's talking about. But like you said, uh, I don't know, that might be too deeper of a discussion. Like, how do you handle backward compatibility, multiple versions in the system?
Mhm.
All those things
Okay,
come into picture.
I think let's move ahead then.
Yeah, for now, probably we can keep it like update the system without impacting the
Sure.
current users. Right?
Okay, let's move performance. Uh, latency. I think this is a good one. Like how much latency is allowed. Uh,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, again, I think performance is like a broad.
hmm.
Yeah. What does
I
it?
I I would care only about latency. If I am doing a real interview, I think I would ask about latency, but I won't go like too much into performance. At least I would talk about latency, like how quick if I it should be like I think within few milliseconds or like any
Yeah,
operation we need.
yeah, maybe for the sake of discussion, should we talk about like what kind of things you would consider in the performance?
Okay. Uh,
I think we scope down to like
I would consider latency numbers
mhm.
and what else? Uh,
Latency. I think we already considered like what load we would support, number of concurrent users.
mhm.
Um, yeah, I don't know. I cannot think of anything else.
Okay. Then I'll take this as in if I have to think about performance. If anybody has a uh, additional thing, just let me know. Otherwise, I will move ahead.
Well, at an API level, you can always the SLA of and send message or sending a call. Every API that goes out of your client to your server, how many
Mhm.
times it succeed? What you support 99.99 or
Okay.
99 or so?
Oh yeah. Percentile, right?
Yeah,
API
latency
response
by
time.
percentile actually.
Mhm.
Like P99's P95.
Yeah,
Okay. And this is like you are telling every service level we should do, or entire system level.
at every API level.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I think that's a good point. Like coming up with your P99s or P95s, and that should get hand in hand with latency then.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's move further then. Let's go to availability. Uh,
Yeah, I think we kind of touched upon it already in the
yeah.
downtimes. Yeah.
Okay. And then we are talking about reliability. Okay. So this is important. Like if whatever you are doing, it should be never lost. I think that is a fundamental
Mhm, mhm.
for
Yeah.
any system.
But is the wording right? Reliability, I mean, like every product has to be reliable, but
Mm-hmm.
what would be the right terminology for this? Like,
Uh,
mm,
right terminology.
I mean, is reliability the right term? Saying that I upload a file and it should never be lost. Is that the word that is used in general?
I think.
Maybe I think the name looks like data loss. It's like there are two aspects here. I'll say when
Mhm.
when you send some message or you send some file, it goes in one data center. Uh, you know, what if the whole immediately your file reached there,
Mhm.
the whole data center went down? Can you still guarantee that that will be preserved? I mean, in case of natural disaster or so, because when you take a backup or you take a sync copy, it takes time. You don't generally do sync. So even in Azure data lake storage or so, they don't. They say that it is possible that some data, theoretically it is possible some data might be lost if um, the environment goes down. I mean, the whole data center goes down with a
Mhm.
permanent damage.
Mm-hmm.
right? But
Yeah.
if it is not permanent damage, it will come up. It will make it sync in an async way on the other data center.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, yeah, I will also question this. It should be reliable, but
Yeah,
theoretically there are chances that some information might be lost. Maybe
I,
99. It gives a guarantee of 99.9999 some nines.
yeah. I think the other word we can use here is maybe a redundancy instead of the reliability. Is system redundant enough to handle the kind of a replication
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
or storing the data on the
replication.
right service? Yep. So even if some storage goes down, it still can handle that situation.
Fault tolerant, durability.
Yes. Yep.
Somebody in the chat also mentioned trust and what other things like fault tolerant.
I was reading it, durability also, like it says like the transactions that have committed will survive permanently.
Mhm.
That's what the definition of durability. So,
So, but everything is like whatever is there should survive and live forever.
mm-hmm.
Okay, let's move further then. Okay, okay, this is interesting now. Design considerations. Read heavy, write heavy. What do you guys think it should be? I think it should be more like it's same like read and write heavy.
Yeah,
I
it's
think
more
it's
heavy than
mostly
right.
right heavy, I believe. Teams is.
Why?
Um, the interaction that you perform, you don't do too, I mean, from my own experience, I don't do too many searches on the Teams. What I do is I post something, I chat, I respond to somebody's response on my Teams or
Mm-hmm.
chats, or I take up meetings. All those operations are right operations. And when you say about reading operation, probably you can say watching a recording of some meeting, searching for some text, or looking for if somebody responded, maybe refreshing the client side. Um, or yeah, it's but that's also not read. A read is something searching within your own scope. I think that operation is not something that at least I do often.
No, but if I go and open my chat and
Yeah,
scroll up and down, it is also read operation.
for all the
uh,
other users, it's a read operation, right? You write it, but isn't it for all the other users? It's a read
Correct.
operation.
But
Yeah,
when I'm
actually,
sending a chat to when I'm giving a message to somebody, it is a write, and then it also goes into their write on their client side. It's an update into their chat history or so, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's a transaction that has happened. A transaction is
All,
a write operation.
But all the other users, even if they goes into clients, have to read it, right?
but
Uh,
I think most of the clients they cache the data. So
No,
But
so
it,
what?
it is not for a long. Like I know if I scroll a little bit up, like a few pages up, it starts fetching from the server. So
Correct.
it
If
it,
you
it
go,
reads.
so if you try to go the history, it only keeps some amount of data.
mm-hmm.
But yeah, if you will scroll up, you have to. It will then it is a get. That I agree. But that is not something you do it
but
often.
but that also comes in batch, like 100 messages in a batch. But if
Correct.
we are doing
Yeah.
one-to-one chat, I think every single operation would be like a very granular operation. You say hi.
Yeah.
Oh,
Correct.
why am I? Okay, you
So
say
that
hi. It would be one operation. You say hello. It would be another operation. But if I'm going my history, this would become one operation. If I'm
yeah,
just
and Teams is not generally a kind of broadcast, but it is peer-to-peer chatting, right?
Mhm.
When I'm sending it to either a group or an individual, it's a write operation, right? And then when they are reading their specific content, and it goes as a write in their cache as well on the client side. A read, you could say it's a read only if it's some kind of like you are fetching a blog, right? There are more people who might be fetching this particular blog. This is your pull method, and I believe there it is a push. It goes to server and then it pushes the same to clients.
But I think here, read and write, it's not from the client or sender perspective, it is from the storage perspective. Because if I'm sending a message to a SIM, it will be just going through the network, but at the same time, I need to save it on my database so that a SIM is not available, or
Correct.
um,
Yes.
in case it fails. So I think it is from the perspective of the MS Teams backend, where we need to give them a durability kind of a
Correct.
feature.
This is a right operation. Even if a SIM opens it on a different laptop or a mobile, a new Teams channel, he should be able to retrieve it. It's a read at that moment from a archive.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I I think with this discussion, I would safely assume this is a write-heavy application, and even authors spoke about that the same point.
So this is we consider this on a database, right? Is it a or on an application level? Would it matter if it is? Why would we talk about this thing? If we do we talk about this thing when we are having a database in the system, or like for any other services? I was thinking it's we talk about it when we have a database in the system, and this talks about what's happening on that database.
I think this is mostly like if it is a read-heavy, then few things you don't have to consider a lot. How the replication will work, how the nodes will sync, how the eventual consistency would look like. But if it is a write heavy, then all these things comes by default. Like how if it is write heavy, that means we are getting a lot of write traffic, and I have to scale my DB in that way, and a lot of design discussion decisions will come into picture.
Yeah. So my perspective there is, yeah, I think we are looking at characteristics, and then we are thinking of the components that can help us with that, achieving that
Mhm.
characteristic, right? It's not like if I think about it, I'm not thinking of the components first and then trying to think whether this applies or not. I'm
Okay.
thinking of a feature. Okay, I need read heavy, or let's say I have a mix, right? Read write mix. Then how can I define my what kind of replication scheme would be good? You know,
Yeah,
like
even I agree. Like at this point, I won't care about very
com-
granularity of the component. I'll say, okay, this is
yeah.
right heavy. When I would be doing high level or whatever, I would consider that in my
and
mind.
also and also like going from feature to your components, right? So your feature should influence what components you need in your system, not the other way around, right? We are not trying to fit in a particular database or something. We are trying to find what best suits our application.
Yeah, correct.
Okay, let's move further. Cache. I think in general we need cache, so I would not worry that much about that.
Correct.
So some rule or LRU or whatever we want, like LRU or 80-20 rule, whatever we want to come, we need some way, like whatever is uh, read or used most, like could be cached.
But I believe this cache is that the author is talking about something storing on the client side.
Okay.
Um, some content to be, because the content might be big enough for them to store the full, store something on their own device.
Yeah, and I think that's correct. Okay, so this is also important, the synchronization between devices. So that should also.
As an example of synchronization is like, you have two devices or three devices, and whether you read a message or not, so that feature is also there in Teams. Just like in WhatsApp, you see, right? A tick mark, blue tick mark or so. Yeah, there is an eye that appears across devices, across multiple groups,
Okay. But overall, the idea is like if I have multiple devices, wherever I go, if I go and open here or here, it should show me the exact same things on both sides.
Correct.
Okay, I think we can move ahead, and we have another, I think, 45 minutes or 1 hour. Okay, so I think capacity estimations, we already spoke about 75 million 75 million daily active users, and each user is posting like 100 text messages, which is 100 bytes, and which will become 10 KB of things. And this is like how much data we are generating every day, 75 gigabytes. So total space every day we need is like 75 GB. And then, okay, so this is a fair call. Like in 5 years, how much we need, like this much TB. But the author didn't, I think, did a calculation for audio, video, or documents. Okay.
And I
Do we
think
need to spend that much time here, or shall we move ahead?
and I think did the author considered the replication that needs to happen across those data centers?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
That
But
is availability, right? That comes under.
no, but
I'm talking about the space needed.
so
750 gigs is a one copy or
Yeah.
like all?
Oh, your point is valid. Yes.
so if I have 70 gig data, 750 gig data every day, so that means this will again replicate it. So shall I open these, or shall go to architecture?
I think we can go to architecture, right?
Yeah. This one.
Unless if these calculations help us in thinking.
Yeah.
Kilobyte, mega, tera, peta, exa.
Wow, I went till exabytes and then
I'm also reading this Zeta, Yota,
For the first time, yeah.
Geo,
Toronto bytes.
but
I think after this, he started putting his friends' names. Yota, Bronto, Geo. Next, I can put my name there.
maybe Geo came from India, Reliance.
Did anybody hear about these things? I know like Zeta was, I have heard.
I've not heard Yota, Bronco, or Geo.
Interesting.
Okay.
And did he like make 1,000 bytes as like a just for the calculations, right?
Yeah. Otherwise, it should be 1024.
20. Oh,
Yeah.
I think if I have to do, I will also give 1000 for simplicity.
okay.
Okay. Now here is the main show going to run. Okay, let's see this logical architecture. This is my these are my clients, tabs, apps, and I think here the author is mentioning about all the components, meeting, calling, video, mail, and
But why these are all originating from chat itself?
yeah, that is what I'm wondering. Or might be this is a interface.
Yeah, the name is probably incorrectly given.
I feel this is an
I
interface.
wonder if this is more like, when we are having, let's say, one-on-one, chat with somebody, we have like on the bottom right, like you can have a call or something. I don't know if this is referring to something like given the arrows, like specific to that chat, we can have these features.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, not sure.
So author mentioned like this point is voice, this is chats, and this is Teams. So when I think author mentioned about Teams, it's everything is related to group thing.
And channel feeds and all those.
Or might be this is a client and this is doing chat and other things.
Yeah, looks like that.
Yeah. So it starts from here. My bad. I'm so sorry.
But if it starts from here, why the tab and app? Actually, tab and app are the client, not an individual do not directly deal with the team. See, they only deal with either their tab or phone or
I think the
No.
tabs here is not the. I don't think he mentioned tablets.
I
Yeah.
think it's I think it's like the data chat and meetings calling is being generated from that site, Tabs app. So those things are generated from that side and then coming to the backend. I think that's what it is.
So I felt like
okay.
from chat you can have multiple tabs and apps there, and then
Yeah.
for every then user can have meetings, calling, voicemail, and these all like comes under voice,
Hmm.
and then and other things are and other things. So chats has directly linked with the messages, and messages could have these things, and then we could have the reply chains. That's what I'm.
Yeah, you're right. Actually, in the article they mentioned that tabs.
Okay. Then then I should go a little down, and then we can chat about that. Okay. Each channel has a folder in SharePoint. Each channel has the tabs for Microsoft, and what's so now, it looks like here the author is mentioning what all components they're trying to use here. It says like going 10,000 foot view. Earlier, how much foot view was there? Okay, might be 30,000. But overall, idea is like these many components will be there. I would like to go into some particular components, but I think author didn't went too much into that. Okay. Intelligent clouds. Okay, shall we move ahead then? Or want to spend time here?
I think we can move.
Okay. Team client architecture today. So React Native, Swift, Java for Android, and okay, so so they're using like TypeScript, uh, Angular, HTML, and this is for the desktop apps. Like desktop could be like web, Windows, or Mac. Didn't talk about. I don't know if they support Unix or Linux or not.
So
Probably not that I know.
what is that arrow from Angular to React? Are they saying like they're planning to migrate to React?
Looks like there's. I think I've seen a very common trend. Any application which was written few years ago was on Angular, but everything is now going to React.
What is the difference between Angular and React? It's a JS.
So Angular is mostly like what I know is MVC, like a model view controller. React is mostly like a component. Like every small thing would be a component. You can say that if you have this window and this is your text, this is your search, this is a text box, and this is a button. Everything could go as a small component, and then this will become a parent component, which will have subcomponents. So then I can use this text box anywhere else, like on a different page also. So mostly it's like a component-based architecture. And somebody also mentioned React is a library, Angular is a framework.
Oh,
But
so that means I don't know if this is part of the discussion, but yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
let's go further on this and see what author has more on this. So here, author is only talking about what kind of clients we have, and then author is talking about the release range. I don't know if this makes sense. I'm just going down to see what all other things are there.
Yeah, I
Like,
think he just mentioned how they release it. Like first they release to internal Microsoft Teams and to Microsoft and the others.
so I'm just looking like a very particular thing we can pick and go a deep dive on that.
Yeah.
So I'm just wondering, like, we can pick up one or two. Like, I think now we are in that phase where we have a high level architecture and we can now do one deep dive. Either could be a messaging flow, or it could be like how we post a message, or something like that. Or
Yeah, I agree. Maybe we can take one chat flow, right? Skill chat
this
flow.
this one, Naga,
One-on-one chat flow.
this one,
Uh,
or
yeah, they have like one-on-one and one-to-many. That's a channel, right?
oh,
So channels. Uh, No, I think you can go down, Asim. I think
Okay.
they haven't mentioned any one-on-one. One-on-one in a channel is what they mentioned.
This one?
Yeah, this might be. I think this is the lowest, I mean, like the smallest one, I believe. What do you guys think? Like post message. Yeah, this also sounds good enough. Like one post message, how does that travel, and what all we need to consider.
Okay.
Different services involved. Yeah.
So shall we check this one or we should check this one?
The second one seems to be
More,
yeah,
okay. Not very low level or not very high level.
yeah, and it also has all the steps defined,
Components.
so we know like what all need to be considered. Yeah.
Okay, so user one sends this. So our
Okay.
main guy is chat service,
Mm-hmm.
and I think any kind of chat system, WhatsApp, there is always like a pub sub model. Do you guys agree?
Yep.
So anybody not familiar with pub sub model can just raise a hand or just put a message. We can chat about that. But high level, like you have a subscriber who will be subscribing to some queue or whatever, and whenever something is there, we'll publish it. But so here also, the user one put a message. It goes to chat service. It goes to this messaging publisher subscriber. And then it will start not notifying to these guys to this and this. I didn't get like why this is a direct flow. Oh, might be chat service knows like it's a one-to-one, like a
So he's
theme.
an active user, right? So active user is already there.
So this is Asim and this is like say Naga.
Mm-hmm.
So Asim sent a message and Naga is there. So it directly chat service will send a message to Naga.
For a just logged in guy, he's sent.
So
Yes,
Teams also has, I think it's a user status notification. You can tag someone for an alert. So if this user becomes available, just notify me.
No, but this is
No, this is about post a message actually. Just what happens when a post
Yeah.
message happens. Right?
Yeah, I think there could be a case that like some user posted a message to user B, and then like the way you do it on WhatsApp, like it will be sent, but the other user don't see it until they log in, right? So it's basically sending all those. It's basically a sync with that client. So just think that okay, that user doesn't have an internet, and when it gets an internet, then maybe getting all those feed. What do you guys think?
Yeah,
So
that's
this is
right. But
interesting.
I think the confusion was like, for the message is being sent to user B from A,
Yeah.
and we have different scenarios for user B. One is when the user just logged in. The second one is user already logged in.
Yep.
User on different devices, right? What we
not
see is like
active.
if a user just logs in, the client service is sending to the user directly. But the user, if a user is already logged in and active, it is going through the
Pub sub.
messaging
Real time.
queue.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which is true, right? Like if there are like 10 pending messages for user B, then whenever that user logs in, all that will get delivered.
Okay.
Isn't
There
that
there
true?
is a concept of history versus the real time. I mean, what I see, number three is a real time. Things are coming, going as it is. Number two is something that logged in, maybe a lot of old data, or it's a pull from user from number two, talks to chat
Oh,
service, give me all the data that is pending for me in
so
the history.
okay. So here user is making a request. Whatever I missed, send me. And this is like a real flow.
Yeah, the
Yes.
regular flow is pops up.
Yeah.
User might not have logged in for days, right? So it is trying to retrieve the history.
Okay, makes sense. Yeah, makes sense. Like here, user is trying to just log in, and once the user is logged in, so once the user is logged in, after that, the user would also establish this pub sub thing, and after that, everything would be real time. And here, for for but author has categorized these devices separately, that for Apple, Google, there would be different component of push notifications. Might be because it is technology specific, like Apple or Google, how the notification works on the devices. But these are the other things would also be happening. Okay, searching should update, and underlying notification service, graphs, activity, audit log, bot, augmentation service, and these are all services. Let's check about this thing. So that's what I think is happening. User one chat service thing should happen. It should be long polling and search index, and smartphone devices get notified. Okay, I think that is fair enough. What is a conversation storage? But I would like to spend more time on how this pub sub would work.
Yeah, PubSub itself is a very big topic.
No, but here how it will work. Let's say so that means every server would have a dedicated set of users, right? So let's say so this is I have.
Why will have dedicated server users?
So let's say this is have from user 1 to user 100, and then this is user 200 to 300. So basically these guys are subscribed to this guy, these guys are subscribed to this guy, and then let's say 300 to 400.
Should it be? Yeah, my question is, I mean, if that kind of dependency is there, like, with server A, server B, with a set of dedicated, won't that defeat the purpose of, if the server goes down, it will introduce more?
No, but I need to subscribe to somewhere, right? Like it's like again, it's like consistent hashing.
Yeah, so in case of what I know a little bit about Event Hub in Azure, it's like, it can handle millions of events coming in, and then you subscribe to Event Hub, not a specific server or so, and it is all handled by your publisher or subscriber, instead of saying one user belongs to what server or so.
So as a user, if I have subscribed to something, so that information should live somewhere, right?
That lives in this blue model, publish subscriber.
Yeah. So let's drill down this. How this will look like. It should be distributed, right? It could not be like one server is
Correct.
doing everything. So
And
if I have
number
to
of servers. Yes.
yeah, if I'm doing n number of servers, so then how I would be partitioning it?
So
That
there is every message that has come, it comes, my understanding, I might be wrong here, please correct if it is. there are a number of channels in message publisher also, and listeners are registered to some specific type of events. When an event is coming, it landed into one server and then maybe on a set of servers. It is a queue, right? Think like when you publish when a user A or anybody is publishing, it comes to uh, a pub model. It comes in a queue. Any server could be able to pick that one and try to figure out who are the listeners or subscribers for this particular type of event, and then send it to them.
So let's say Asim is talking to Naga and Hitesh is talking to Vivek.
Correct.
Now the message is going to this thing. How, and here sits Hitesh and here sits here sits Naga and here sits Vivek. And now I am on this side. Asim is here and Hitesh is this. So we both send messages.
Correct.
How this would get translated? How, and we are saying Naga and Vivek has subscribed. So it, let's say they have subscribed to something. Which information is here?
So there is an identity when Asim and when a message came into the queue, right? The message has an information about who is the consumer of this message. It's a
So
team
let's
group.
say,
It's a particular AAD user or who it is.
so let's say it's
Now,
Naga. Message
okay,
came and we subscribed to Naga. Now it should go to Naga.
correct. Now, when it came in the queue, any of the server could pick that message. Any of the servers in the publisher model
Okay,
could
so you're
pick that.
telling it will end up in a kind of a queue. Okay,
Yes.
now here the message for Naga is here.
Yeah. And it is picked by any of the server, and then the notification will be sent to the consumer.
So let's say I have multiple servers.
Yeah.
And here is Naga. So you're telling that this message will be picked by this server and then it will send to Naga.
Correct.
But Naga has to, so this is, here we are also talking about long polling. So Naga and server already have a connection.
It's an async call. It's not a sync call. Correct.
No, I think whenever we have a pub sub model, there is always a channel is always open. Otherwise, it will become a pull model. So let's say this is not there, then Naga will pull it. But if it's a pub sub model, then Naga and the server already did a handshake, and Naga is doing a long polling. That was my understanding. So that means Naga and server, they always in like a, it's, I think that is like a TCP connection. They always like keep it open. So that means Naga and server should always be in sync. And as soon as server gets a message, he knows where is Naga and send it to Naga.
Oh, so you are saying in PubSub model, the consumer is tied to a particular server.
No, I'm just telling like I'm not telling it's tied to a particular server. I'm telling like there's always a handshake. There's always an open connection between uh, whoever is sending a message. It could not send a message like, okay, on spot, it will find Naga and send it a message. That is my understanding.
Okay. And then help me understand, maybe my understanding is less in here on PubSub model. But if you tie it to particular server, is it like how, is it something like get refreshed every time? What if the server goes down? What will happen to the message? It remains in PubSub model or it goes out to that particular server?
Good question. It depends how. I think then all that concepts come, like it should be replicated, or if it goes down, we should have some replication strategy there. I feel the closest analogy to this is like Kafka, where you subscribe to a partition, and whenever there is a message, you get that message. That's like if I have to give a close analogy, and then we maintain backups and everything. If something goes down, it will. So let's say this server is gone, and then this guy, so it will move all its subscribers or to this guy, like if it is a consistent hashing.
So an event stays only for a small duration in PubSub model, right? If the consumer is not available, it will go out of the PubSub model, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Expiration is always there on the messaging queues. Yeah.
Right. So if the consumer is not available, it will simply discard and go away from PubSub model. And number 2 will come into play. Whenever user is logged in, get
So
all its chats.
yeah, so if I think if the consumer is not available, then this guy should send it to DB or something
What is BB?
like persistent storage. Then it will take this route, this
Correct.
one. Then when the user will come back, it will do a pull thing. So I'm just debating with myself that sending it to DB would be this guy's responsibility, or that should be a separate component.
I think the chat service is the one that, along with publishing message to PubSub model, it also sets somewhere again in some storage. That's how the number 2 come into play, right? Because number 2 did not get the data from PubSub model. It is directly getting from chat service. So definitely chat service is storing somewhere else also.
Yeah, chat service would store it somewhere, but how chat service would get, okay, let's say that is now, actually we are doing an interesting discussion. Uh, uh, so, so, so this is chat service. So chat service lets us store somewhere. And now this is Naga. And so, so initial Naga was active and message is not there. And okay, let's say message is there for Naga. He was active. Message 1 came to Naga. And even we are saying message 1 is living in DB. And then message 2 came for Naga. And Naga is not there. Now Naga came back. So this, and now in DB we have this. And now Naga is trying to pull. So how Naga will know, like, I need both message 1 or message 2? So there should be some way to mark it like, okay, we already gave this message to Naga.
Maybe there is a kind of universal timestamp. How till what point in time it has received all the messages. And when it comes back online, that's maybe a watermark that till this point in time I have read messages. And now whatever is new came in, talk to chat service, get me all the messages after this white mark. And then it can be eventual consistency.
Okay.
I think maybe there should be some indicator that up till what message it is read, right? And then
There should be some. It is possible somebody sent. Well, eventual consistency is supposed to happen. What time is the right time? Is it when it landed up in what could be a right watermark? When it landed up in PubSub model, when the user sent it, or when it is about to receive? Which time frame is there? So there has to be some kind of watermark and some kind of consistency, and maybe something client is also doing.
And even there is Naga, other responsibility of Naga is to say like, I have seen that message. That all things will also flow. Like Naga has seen that message.
I wouldn't put that on the client, right? I mean, client would not store all of those details. I believe it should still be maintained in the database, not in the.
No. What I meant, like, as a client, if you are a client, you have to also communicate back to somebody that I have seen this message.
Yeah, that's the client's responsibility.
Yeah.
And maybe when the channel is open, the communication, like you said, with a particular AS, that's where it can communicate via that route, or it could be a different route.
Okay, so you're telling like use this channel only?
Possibly.
Okay, and then this guy would update somewhere like, oh, Naga has seen that message.
Yeah, then this can publish back to maybe PubSub model and can gain reach. It's a kind of, it could be a kind of another type of message, uh, and then it can be sent to user A backward. That that message has been seen, or till this point in time it has been seen, or this channel or this chat has been seen.
I think I think everything could have been in the pub sub itself, in the messaging queue itself. But the only challenging part here is like there is an expiration on these messages, right? So only for that case we are having to make it check on the database. So otherwise, like uh, if there is no expiration on the queue, you can have everything in the messaging queue, and then just like whenever and the offsets are maintained on like uh, what's the last message the client has read, and you can just when you come back and you know the offset that it is committed back, and then you can continue to read from there. But the challenge is like if the user doesn't log in for an year and comes back, we cannot maintain all of them in the queue. So database has to have some part of it.
Yeah, some kind of support, yes.
Yeah, some part of it, like indication or something. That's where the balance is. I mean, like, I think that specifically for this chat kind of an application, like if it is like some real-time systems, which are some real-time service, which is supposed to be online, then you may not really need the database.
Mhm. Okay, I think we can park this discussion. I know this Thursday, coming Thursday at 5 p.m. PST, uh, there is another system design discussions happens on every Thursday 5 p.m. And this week topic is also chatting, like a design of WhatsApp or Slack. So I think that time, if you guys are interested, join, and that time we can do like really deep dive and fully fledged design this component.
Yep.
Okay, I think we are good for now. We discussed like high level requirements, non-functional, high level thing, and then also went into some low level like a deep dive. So if it is a system design interview, I think we can't go like really in every component. So I feel like should we do like whatever we did like could be realistic. Only thing is we might not take all the requirements like we discussed in the start. That video, audio, like keep it simple, like wherever we can keep it really like, simple level.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, obviously, there's a lot in the teams, right? We cannot.
Yeah, do in
We
like
kind of,
one.
yeah, we kind of brainstormed or touch some topics here and there in the overall flow. So yeah,
Mhm.
each one of it will become like a different discussion. Notification surveys, chat, videos, and all that. Everything could be a different topic.
Okay. Anything else people want to discuss? Uh, yeah. Yeah. Anything else you guys want to discuss?
No, thanks, Asim. Thanks for driving this. I know this is kind of a random thing that came in, but yeah, thanks for driving through this.
We stop the recording then.
Yeah, thanks.